All right, thank you everybody for joining us. We'll be beginning momentarily. Thank you. All righty, we're live. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I'd like to thank you all for joining us tonight for the Congressman's Passport Agency webinar. My name is Osvaldo Ramirez. We'll begin this evening's presentation shortly as we allow for more folks to come in. In a brief minute, you'll hear opening remarks from the Congressman. Following the Congressman's remarks, we will hear a presentation from Chance and Eugene, representatives from the Los Angeles Passport Agency. Following their presentation, we'll have time for Q&A to get questions from you all. At this time, during the presentation or any time, you can go ahead and leave a Q&A question in the Q&A box, in the chat box. If you have any questions that are more specific to maybe a personal issue that you're dealing with Passport Agency, please feel free to contact our office. Our office phone number is 818-221-3718. Again, that number is 818-221-3718. To let you all know, tonight's presentation will be in English. However, we will pass along the presentation materials to all who registered for the event. And if you are a Spanish speaker, please feel free to leave a question in the Q&A in Spanish, and I'll be able to translate that question for our presenters to answer. And I'll say a few words in Spanish for those who speak Spanish. A todas las personas que hablan español y que se unieron a nuestra presentación hoy, gracias por estar aquí. Nuestra presentación, desafortunadamente, va a ser solo en inglés, pero por favor, siéntase libre a dejar preguntas generales en el chat y vamos a poder traducirlos y ojalá darles respuestas. Si no, puede llamar a nuestra oficina a 818-221-3718. Una vez más, 818-221-3718. For those of you all just tuning in, thank you again for joining us for our Passport Agency webinar. Feel free to leave questions in the chat. We'll be able to answer them after the presentation tonight. At this time, I'd like to give the floor to Congressman Tony Cárdenas for some opening remarks. Congressman, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Osvaldo. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for tonight's Passport Agency webinar. Again, my name is Tony Cárdenas. I have the honor of being the Congressman here in the Northeast San Fernando Valley, representing the 29th District. I know that many of you are planning to go on vacations this summer and are looking forward to safely traveling with your family and your loved ones. And we just want to let you know that for those of you who are applying for a first-time passport or you need a renewal, my office has been receiving many calls from constituents needing assistance getting their passports on time for their travels. It appears that during the pandemic, a lot of people didn't need their passport and starting to look at them now. So if you get a chance to look at your passport, Please check it as soon as you can to make sure that it's not expired. And if it is, that's what this seminar is about, to let you understand how you can go about renewing your passport or getting a new passport for yourself or one of your family members. So tonight we're working with our partners over at Los Angeles Passport Agency, and our representatives are here to give you the latest updates and tell you what you need to know before applying. And in addition to that, we're going to be taking your questions so we can answer specific questions for people who are tuning into tonight's webinar. Again, Chance Chive and Eugene Ogasawara, who have prepared the presentation and are available to answer some of your questions tonight, will be helping us this evening. Also, the second most spoken language in my district here in the Northeast Valley is Spanish, so I'm going to say a few words in Spanish. Buenas tardes a todos. Gracias por acompañarnos en el seminario web sobre agencias de pasaportes de esta noche. Soy el congresista Tony Cárdenas y tengo el honor de representar el Distrito 29 aquí en el Valle de San Fernando. Sé que muchos de ustedes están planeando sus vacaciones de verano y esperan viajar de manera segura con sus amigos y familiares. Y es posible que están considerando solicitar un pasaporte por primera vez o necesitan una renovación. Mi oficina ha recibido muchas llamadas de personas que necesitan ayuda para obtener sus pasaportes a tiempo para sus viajes. Así que esta noche nos hemos asociado con representantes de la Agencia de Pasaportes de Los Ángeles para brindarle las últimas actualizaciones y decirle lo que necesita saber antes de presentar la solicitud. Con nosotros esta noche tenemos a Chance Chive y Eugene Ogasawara, que prepararon una presentación y están disponibles para responder algunas de sus preguntas. Y también Osva y mis colegas van a seguir avisándoles cómo pueden ponerse en contacto de nuestra oficina y también pueden utilizar esa oportunidad para hacer preguntas en español o inglés, y vamos a seguir adelante con las respuestas de esas preguntas. Ok, en este momento, para usted, Osva.
Thank you, Congressman. And once again, I'll give our office phone number in case you put a question in the chat and it's a little too specific and it's not a general question that we can answer. Feel free to contact our office and we can see how we can get that answered. Our phone number is 818-221-3718. Again, that's 818-221-3718. I'll be repeating it throughout the presentation for those who are just tuning in. So thank you so much, Congressman. I'll go ahead and pass the mic over to our passport agency representatives, Chance and Eugene. Chance and Eugene, the floor is yours.
On behalf of the Los Angeles Passport Agency, thank you, Congressman, for inviting us back to participate in your passport webinar. This is a great opportunity for us to provide updated passport information to your constituents and answer questions they may have about the passport process. Now, before we begin the presentation, just a little bit about myself. My name is Eugene Ogasawara, and I am one of 2 customer service managers here at the Los Angeles Passport Agency. We are responsible for overseeing the customer service program at our agency and serve as the primary liaisons to congressional offices such as yours. And with that said, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Chance.
Hello, hi. Thanks, Congressman Cárdenas, for having us for another seminar. It's become a nice thing we do annually to help people prepare for summer vacation in your district and all around our area. My name is Chance Chiv. I'm one of the customer service managers here at the Los Angeles Passport Agency. I've been with the Los Angeles Passport Agency since 2004, and we're happy to be here to serve you and your constituents and those in Los Angeles and the surrounding area. I'll start off by going over just passport basics. So Eugene, if you can go to the next slide. Or I'm not sure if you're handling the slides, Eugene. But yeah,
I'll be handling the slides, Jan.
Oh,
just
thanks,
let me know
Osvaldo.
and, you know, go ahead.
Oh yeah, yeah, this is a correct slide, Osvaldo. Yeah, and thank you too, Osvaldo, for doing this again for us. So yeah, this is oh, thanks. This is description and images of our passport products. So on the left there, we have the most commonly recognized passport product, which is the passport book, which can be used for all international travel. The second is the passport card, the one you see there on the right. It can be used for international travel by land and sea to Mexico, Canada, Bermuda, and the Caribbean. Again, this is only by land and sea to those areas. The passport card may not be used to travel by international air. So if you're going to take a plane overseas, you'll have to get the passport book. Both the passport book and the passport card are alternatives to state-issued real IDs. You can use a passport when applying for a job, obtaining federal and state benefits, entering federal buildings, and proving your identity or citizenship for voting or virtually any other situation. Okay, next slide, please.
So next, we will be walking you through the passport application process from the time that the application is mailed by you or a passport acceptance facility to the stage where the passport is mailed to you and your citizenship and supporting documents are returned to you. And you can track the status of your passport on our website on travel.state.gov, and we'll discuss more about that website and about the online status checking system later in the presentation. Now, in stage one, the application is mailed by the applicant or acceptance facility to a central processing facility where the application is data entered and the payment is processed. If you search for your application online at this stage, the online status system is going to indicate not found. The online status updates are generally available 2 weeks after applying for a passport, so it's not immediate. In stage two, the central processing site sends the application to a passport agency or center to be reviewed by a passport employee. And at this point, you're going to see that the online status system will indicate in process. In stage three, moving on, the application is reviewed and approved, and the application information is digitally transferred to a book print facility to be printed. And at this point in the process, you're going to see online that it says approved. And finally, in stage four, the passport is printed and is mailed out to you. The citizenship evidence is returned in a separate mailing, and the online status system will indicate mailed. Now, please note that if you requested a passport book and a passport card, they will be mailed separately. Passport books are generally mailed via USPS Priority Mail, or for an additional fee, USPS Express Mail. Passport cards will be shipped out via first class mail. We would also like to note that the citizenship evidence and supporting documents will also be mailed separately via first class mail. And you may receive your documents back up to 2 or 3 weeks after you receive your passport. Next slide, please.
Okay, next we're going to cover processing times. So as of March 24th of this year, our processing times had changed. For routine service, it's currently 10 to 13 weeks. And for an additional $60 for expedited service, that's 7 to 9 weeks. These processing times may change over the course of the year, depending on passport demand. There's no processing time difference between the first-time applicants and renewal applicants. We do highly recommend that you apply as early as you can for your passport. If your passport is expiring in the next 6 to 12 months, you should renew now. You could save $60 by requesting routine service. One important note is that the processing time begins when an agency receives the application, not when you apply or when the application is mailed. It may take up to 2 weeks for the application to arrive by mail at a passport agency or center, and up to 2 weeks after for you to receive a completed passport in the mail after reprinted. Consider the total time it will take to receive your passport when you're booking travel. Next slide, please.
So if you are traveling in less than 9 weeks, consider applying for a passport at a passport agency or center, such as the Los Angeles Passport Agency, rather than mailing in your passport application or applying at a passport acceptance facility, such as a post office. The passport agency may be able to process the passport quicker than the posted expedite processing times, as long as there are no issues with the application. So to apply at a passport agency, you will need an appointment. The Los Angeles Passport Agency, for example, does not accept walk-ins under any circumstances. Additionally, you'll need to provide proof of travel within 14 days or the need for a visa within 28 days and pay the $60 expedite fee. To schedule an appointment, applicants must call the National Passport Information Center, or NPIC for short, at 1-877-487-2778 and speak directly with a customer service representative. You're going to hear the NPIC number mentioned a few times throughout this presentation. It's a very important number to know about. Regrettably, appointments are limited and we cannot guarantee when will be available. Our suggestion is to keep trying if you are initially unable to secure an appointment, as customers do routinely cancel their passport appointments. Next slide, please.
Okay, here we're going to discuss some more information about the National Passport Information Center, NPIC for short, again. NPIC is our department's customer service hotline. Again, that number is 1-877-487-2778. You're probably going to get sick of hearing that, but we'll repeat it for you several times, and it's also on the slide. So please do take note of that number. Representatives are available to assist you Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern time, except for federal holidays. Please call this number to schedule an appointment at a passport agency or center to request assistance when a passport has an error or it has never been received, to upgrade a routine application to expedited service, and to change your mailing address for your passport. One tip, NPIC receives a heavy call volume during our peak season, which we're in right now. So call volumes are higher on Mondays and after federal holidays. You may want to consider calling on a Tuesday or at when they open, like at 5 a.m. our time, which is 8 a.m. East Coast time. Here's another tip. Try our online service options instead, which we'll discuss next.
So this is our passport homepage on travel.state.gov. And our website should be everyone's first stop for the most updated passport information. And my colleague Chance will be highlighting a few of the resources available on the website on the following slide. Next slide, please.
Okay. So, Osvaldo, you can go back, just go back one. So here's going to be a series of prompts. So here, as you can see circled, US passports, you can click on that link to learn how to apply for a new or renew your passport. So next slide, please. And from this page, it goes over all that's needed, just as a landing page for you to familiarize yourself and to ask some key questions, like, are you applying for the first time? Or if you're renewing, if you're a minor or an adult, how quickly you will need your passport, and the requirements for applying for a passport, such as what form to use, what documentation to provide, passport photos, etc. Next. Okay. That's where you can learn how to apply for a passport. And next. Learning how to renew. Next. And once you apply for your passport, the link on the top right there is where you can hit, and it'll take you to our passport status page. And you can look up the status of your passport approximately 2 weeks after you apply to see what stage it's at. To find out the status, you'll need your last name, date of birth, and the last 4 digits of your social security number. Okay, next, please. And one more. Okay, and there are forms that you can download from our website. The most commonly used forms are the DS11 first-time application form and the DS82 mail-in renewal form. Next slide, please, or next. And if you're not traveling in a hurry, you can find locations of the closest passport acceptance facilities to you. You can locate those facilities by punching in your zip code or the city where you live. Next. And we also list the most current passport processing times on this page too. And you'll see the latest here is reflected. It's 10 to 13 weeks routine and 7 to 9 weeks expedited processing. Next, please.
Okay, the next thing we'll be discussing are some tips that we have to help ensure that your experience applying for a passport goes well. So our first tip is we encourage you to check your passport expiration date. We can't stress this enough. If it's expired or if it's expiring within a year, we recommend submitting the application for renewal now, whether you have travel or not. Some countries do require at least 6 months validity on the passport for entry into that country. Tip number 2, we recommend having a valid passport before you make irreversible travel plans. Even expedited service takes longer than most people expect. It's currently 7 to 9 weeks long. Tip number 3, check your application status online at passportstatus.state.gov and sign up for email updates. This is what Chance was discussing in the previous slide in terms of being able to check the status of your application online. And the fourth and final tip is you can use our form filler tool and our online photo info on our website to submit a good photo. And we'll talk more about photos in the following slide. Next slide, please.
Okay, now before I discuss the top 5 issues for passport applications, I do want to mention a couple more things about our website. If you didn't hear me state it or you didn't see on the slide, again, our website is travel.state.gov. In addition to the things we mentioned, you can also learn about your international travel destination from our website. So you would click on international travel and punch in the country you're planning to go to, and we'll give you tips and advice on the most current visa requirements, safety information, and COVID-related information, and so on. And also, we encourage all international travelers to sign up for our Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, STEP for short. STEP is a free service to allow US citizens and nationals traveling and living abroad to enroll their trip with the nearest US embassy or consulate. Enrolling in STEP is easy. It allows you to receive important information from the US embassy or consulate about safety conditions in your country in real time, helping you make informed decisions about your travel plans. The program also helps the embassy, that is the US embassy, contact you in an emergency, whether it's a natural disaster, civil unrest, or a family emergency. And it helps keep you connected with your family and friends too at home. Okay, now let's jumping back into this slide, why we may need extra information, top 5 issues. So applicants may inadvertently delay the issuance of their own passport applications. Roughly about 6% of customers have issues with their applications and receive a letter from us requesting additional information. Receiving a letter from us may significantly delay the processing of an application and possibly beyond the posted processing times. Once a letter is received, an applicant has up to 90 days to respond to the letter, or unfortunately, the application will be canceled. The passport fees are non-refundable. Before submitting an application through the mail or at a postal or passport acceptance facility, rather, please ensure that all required documents are submitted and that there are no errors on the application. Here are the top 5 categories that we see the most issues from. Number 1, photographs. The photo may be unacceptable for being too small or too large. It might be older than 6 months, which means it would be unacceptable, or it might be too light or too dark, or it's not forward facing. Minors under 16, number 2. Parental consent is potentially an issue if it's not fully established. Minors under the age of 16 require both parents' consent. We typically see applications received without consent from the non-applying parent, or it's incorrectly notarized, the consent documents there, or for some other reason, we're not able to establish the relationship between the minor and the appearing adult. Number 3, citizenship evidence. The most common type of citizenship issue we see is a photocopy of a birth certificate provided only. So we'll need to see the original birth certificate be submitted with the passport application. You'll also be asked to provide a copy of that original, but you'll have to also submit the original as well. Applicants must submit a certified or original copy of a birth certificate when applying for the first time. And number 4, insufficient identification. We require government issued IDs for applicants 18 and over. Student IDs, for example, are not acceptable by themselves to establish identity. And number 5, an incomplete application. A common reason why we may delay an application and ask for more information is due to missing information on the application itself. The application should be filled out completely and accurately. For example, we'll ask for more information if the applicant did not provide their social security number or an incorrect social security number. So do make sure that all the information filled out on the applications are complete and accurate. Okay, next slide, please.
So in August of 2022, we introduced a new service called Online Passport Renewal, otherwise known as OPR, to the public. It allowed a limited number of customers who qualified for passport renewal to conveniently apply for their passports online. On March 8th, we paused our limited release of the online renewal system so that we could introduce improvements based on the feedback we received from customers. During this limited release, over 500,000 customers submitted their applications through the OPR system. We plan to launch an enhanced system nationwide later this year. While you cannot currently submit an application online, you can still renew by mail if you're eligible for that. Those who have already applied through the OPR limited release system still have access to their accounts to check the status of their application, to upgrade to expedited service, to pay for 1 to 2 day delivery of a new passport, and to change your mailing address. If you need assistance with your OPR application, please call MPIC at 1-877-487-2778. Next slide, please.
Okay, here I'll be discussing QR codes on passports. A QR code, QR stands for quick read. So those codes can be used by your smart device to scan. It'll take you to our website, travel.state.gov. Passport Services has transitioned away from paper informational inserts that have for years been included with new passports mailed to customers. We are replacing the paper inserts with QR code stickers on the back of the passport book. The QR code sticker provides a link to the same information included in the paper inserts. It includes basics like reminding people to sign their passport, letting them know that their documentation is coming back separately, and it points to safety and security information about destination countries and information about how to enroll in the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program STEP. Some things to note about the QR code. All QR code stickers are identical and do not contain any personal or unique information about the passport holder, nor does it change the way border officials, airlines, or other entities interact with the passport document. Applicants may remove the sticker if they wish, though we do encourage everyone to leave it on for easy access to passport and travel information wherever they take their passport with them. Okay, next slide, please.
So real quick, an update on Real ID. For those who don't know, the Real ID Act sets standards for state IDs such as driver's licenses. And it was introduced to ensure consistency across the different states and to improve the security of IDs. The important reminder here is that by May 7th, 2025, and yes, it's been pushed back a few times, but as of now, the deadline is May 7th, 2025. Domestic travelers will need to be ready with a state-issued Real ID or Real ID compliant ID, such as a book or a card, to board a domestic flight. So if you would like to have additional information about that, please visit the Department of Homeland Security's website listed there on dhs.gov/real-id. Next slide, please.
Okay, and lastly, we'd like to just promote some of our our presence on social media. So do follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on YouTube as well. Of course, you know, if there's only one website to take away from this, it would be travel.state.gov. Our website has everything you need to know to get you started with applying for your passport, to help you prepare for your trip, and to keep you safe by allowing you to sign up for the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. And also, once you've applied for your passport, to check on the status of your passport application. So once again, really the only site personally I would recommend is travel.state.gov to get the latest and greatest information on passports. But you know, do check in with us on social media too if you are on any of these platforms. Okay, and with that, Eugene, do you have anything else before we get into questions?
No, thank you, Chance.
Okay.
So, thank you. Thank you, Chance. Thank you, Eugene. I'll go into the questions for everybody. Again, if you'd like to ask questions, go ahead and put it in the chat. And if we're unable to answer your question here live, feel free to give our office a call. Our office phone number, as I mentioned, is 818-221-3718, 818-221-3718. So one of the first questions we got here is, I had an appointment at the post office on May 11th, but I received notice that it was canceled due to lack of staff. They suggested showing up at my appointment time at another post office and maybe I can get squeezed in. Are there alternatives if an alternate office doesn't have time or staff to process my appointment? Question.
Yeah, that is a good question. We know that our partners at USPS and our other acceptance facilities are slammed during this time too, as people like yourself are planning to get your passport in time for your trip. We do suggest that you go to travel.state.gov and try to locate another acceptance facility in your area. It, Hopefully you'll be able to find one that's available. We do encourage you to check often on our page and with the acceptance facility too, as you know, their local circumstances might change and they might open up more appointments or have more available staff. We do know that acceptance facilities during this time in our area are hosting special passport fairs. And if you go to our website, travel.state.gov, we have on the side where you can look up, where we have that screenshot of where you can check the status of your application and processing times. If you scroll down to the bottom, there's a link to special events, and you could search for special events by date and location. And those are the list of special passport fairs in the area. And we list them about a couple months out. So you might see some for this month and for June as well.
Thank you. Next one I have here is my passport has water damage. Will I need to replace it?
It depends on the extent of the damage. If it's normal wear and tear where it got slight water damage, like there, maybe a drop of water or a few drops soaked the pages and it's now dried but kind of wrinkly. That is okay. That's considered normal wear and tear. Now, if it was completely soaked and now it's dried out, that wouldn't be usable anymore. We recommend that you replace that passport. So extensive damage beyond normal wear and tear, you should get replaced.
Thank you. My son's passport expired during the pandemic. He was a minor at the time his passport was issued, but is no longer a minor. Should he apply for a new passport or a renewal?
Assuming his passport still has validity and has at least 6 months of validity on it, it's still good to use, even though it was issued to him when he was a minor. Now, if it's has less than 6 months validity on it, he's likely not going to be able to use that to travel internationally, as most countries require that your passport has at least 6 months of validity left on it. So he'd have to go to basically renew that passport. The good news is, since he's an adult now, he wouldn't require parental consent. He can apply on his own for a passport. He wouldn't be qualified to use our renewal by mail form, but he can go in to apply using our DS-11 application at an acceptance facility.
Thank you. I'll move on to the next question. Is there a list of the countries that might require a certain amount of months of validity readily available online?
Yes.
Also, is this also applicable to renewal?
Yes. So to the first question, so it's travel.state.gov. If you click on the link to international travel, international destinations, you'll be taken to our page where you can punch in the country or countries you're traveling to, and we'll give you the latest information on visa requirements, health and safety information, as well as other country-specific information that would be useful to you as you make your plans to travel to those destinations. So that's from travel.state.gov. Click on the link to international travel, and then enter the country or countries you're planning to go to get information on visa requirements. And the second part of the question was if I'm repeating it correctly, about how long of a validity you need on your passport, correct, for each country?
Yeah, so the first part was like the list of the countries that require that certain amount of validity? And then the second part says, is this also applicable to renewals?
To
I think-
renewals,
I think it answers, I think you answered it.
oh, well, maybe I'll add some more to what I stated. So if you plan to renew a visa, for example, you travel frequently to a certain country, you've run out of visa pages on your passport book, you will have to get your passport replaced, even though the passport itself might still have validity, but because you've run out of visa pages, you'll need to get a whole new book altogether. If you need new visas, you'll have to check with that country. So contacting the local consulate if there's one available, or going to that country's website to determine if you'll need to get a whole new visa altogether, or if they would honor the visa that's in your previous passport. Most likely it's the former, meaning that that country will want you to apply for a whole new visa when you get a whole new passport.
Thank you. When will the online renewal be reactivated?
Oh yeah, we touched on that briefly. We don't have a set time. We're looking at later in the year. So we'll announce that online, and when we do have a time in mind or time frame, we will announce that again on our website, and we'll reach out to our stakeholders such as our congressional offices and our acceptance facility partners to promote the online passport renewal.
Thank you. How do you get parental consent?
So for parental consent, the easiest way to establish that is to actually show up in person with your child. So if you're the parent. Now, if you're not the parent and you are a guardian, you can establish parental consent or a guardianship with a court order, with the original court order. If you're a single parent, and I'm just making up scenarios as based on what we see at our office, where we typically run into this issue. If you're a single parent or you're applying by yourself for a minor who's under 16, you can go in person, and then for the non-appearing parent, they can go to our website, travel.state.gov, to download and print out our DS 3053 statement of consent from non-appearing parent, and fill that out in front of a notary and get it notarized, and turn that in with the appearing parent. So I know that was quite a bit. Let me repeat that information again. So for the non-appearing parent, you can go online and download our DS, that's D as in dog, S as in Sam, 3053 statement of consent for non-appearing parent. And they would print that out, fill it out in front of a notary, get it notarized, and submit that along with the appearing parent.
Thank you. If I have to make an appointment for urgent travel passport renewal within a 14-day window, is there a chance there will not be a appointment available?
There'll be appointments available if you are calling within 14 days of your trip. If actually, one tip that we like to recommend everyone is you actually qualify about a month ahead, because how our appointment system works is appointments go out 2 weeks on a rolling basis. But about a month before that, so 2 weeks prior to the 2-week window that you're traveling, you do qualify for that first available appointment within your 2-week window. So you don't have to wait until within 2 weeks. You can actually call to make an appointment within a month. And when you call in, our customer service representative will most likely be able to book that that first appointment, or first within the first few days of that 2-week window you have to travel.
Thank you. What documents do I need to renew my passport?
So to renew a passport, if you qualify for renewal, for an adult who has a passport book that was issued to them less than 15 years ago. So in other words, it's been less than 5 years that it expired. It's still in good condition, and you haven't changed your name, or if you had changed your name through marriage or through a court order, you can provide that single document. You can use our DS-82 passport renewal by mail form, either by obtaining it by downloading it from our website or going to a postal or non-postal acceptance facility and grabbing a form from one of those offices and mailing your passport, the completed form, your payment, and a new passport photo to the address that's on the passport application. So that's one way to do it by yourself. Now, if you do not qualify to renew by mail, you can use our DS-11 first-time application form. And to use that form, well, to file that form, you would first have to find an available appointment at a passport acceptance facility. And you would bring, that completed form. Don't sign the DS-11. You take it before an acceptance agent and submit your old passport, new passport pictures taken within 6 months without glasses, and then show your ID. And to use the DS-11, there's an additional $35 execution fee for the service of the acceptance agent taking your application. So again, there are two ways to renew a passport, depending on how long ago it's expired.
Thank you. What other agencies besides the post office can process a passport request?
Okay, yeah, so we have various partners in our area too that process in addition to postal offices, and you can find these on travel.state.gov under where to apply. If you hit that link, we have public libraries that accept passport applications. We have city clerks' offices. We have other municipal entities too, like recreation departments of municipalities. We also have public universities in our area that accept passport applications, such as Cal State Long Beach, Cal State Dominguez Hills, UC Irvine. They take passport applications as well at their campuses, and you can locate their facilities by, again, going on travel.state.gov and clicking or inputting your zip code or your city, and we'll give you a list of the nearest facilities to you and their contact information.
Thank you. My husband has a passport card, but now needs a passport book. Does he have to submit his birth certificate again?
No, not necessarily, because if he doesn't need to use the passport card that he was issued to travel on, he can actually use that as his proof of citizenship. So he could turn that in while he's applying for his passport book.
Got it. This constituent asks, can you please repeat what STET stands for? And then also asks, what can I do if I lost my passport?
Okay, so I think you're referring to STEP, so STEP. So the STEP program stands for Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. And that program is really designed to keep American citizens safe while they're traveling abroad, so we can stay connected with you via the US Embassy and US Consulate. And so we can also connect your family members, whoever you designate, in an emergency to notify them if anything happens to you. So that's STEP, Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. And you can sign up for that or learn more about it and sign up for it by going to travel.state.gov.
And then the other question was, what can I do if I lost my passport?
Oh yes, sorry about that. If you've lost your passport domestically, so if you're in the United States, you can then, apply to replace your passport at any acceptance facility. So if you've lost your passport, you're not qualified to renew by mail. So you have to find an appointment somewhere to file a DS-11 application, and most likely, file a statement of lost or stolen passport too. If you're overseas, you'd have to contact the nearest US embassy or consulate to get your passport replaced. And depending on your urgency of travel, we might issue you a temporary passport so you can get back home into the United States and then replace it for a fully valid one. Or if you're going to be there in your destination for a little bit longer, we may be able to issue you a fully valid passport. But overseas, you'd have to go to the US embassy or consulate. What if you just want to report your passport lost or stolen? We do encourage that, once you determine with certainty that, you've lost your passport, do report it by either calling the National Passport Information Center at 1-877-487-2778. That's the same number we've been, given all night. Or you can also go online to file a report of lost or stolen passport online, or you can get a paper form from your local post office, or downloading it from our website. It's called the DS-64, the Statement of Lost or Stolen Passport, and sending that in to us. So that's 3 ways you can report your passport lost: by phone, online, or by call, or by mailing in your statement.
Thank you. This question asks, if you renew your passport, do you receive the same passport number? It also asks, would there be a process to update programs such as global entry with updated passport information, or is it automatic?
So to the first question about passport numbers, so each time you're issued a new passport, you get a brand new passport number. So that will change. And to the second question about linking it up with a global entry, unfortunately, each time you renew a passport, and if you have to update your passport with the Department of Homeland Security global entry program, you'll have to make a separate appointment or get information through DHS on how to update your global entry information.
Thank you. Next question. I recently changed my name. Would I need to show the court order rather than a birth certificate, or both?
So if you've had a passport issued to you, and you're just getting your passport updated with your new name, and you can get this information online too, but broadly speaking, if your passport was issued less than a year ago, you might qualify, or you will qualify to use our self-service form. It's called the DS-5504 application to replace a passport. And you use that form to get your name updated. For instance, if you just got married and your name change is finalized, but prior to that, you were just issued a passport, within a year, you can use that form to submit your current passport and your marriage certificate, along with a new photo, to get your passport replaced. If it's been more than a year, then yes, you'd have to apply again and turn in that passport and show your proof of name change. If you've never had a passport, so going into that scenario, and you've changed your name, then you would apply on the DS-11 first time application form, show your ID in your new name, along with your birth certificate. And if your name changes due to marriage, and it's your information matches your current spouse, you do not have to provide your marriage certificate if you have already changed your ID. But if you have not changed your ID to your new name, then you would have to show your marriage certificate. That's a little tricky, but if you've already gone through the DMV and changed your name on your ID to your current spouse's name, you wouldn't have to show your marriage certificate. But if you haven't changed your name on your ID yet, you would have to submit your marriage certificate as well. But again, to get much more information on and more specific information too, I do recommend that you go to travel.state.gov and find the situation that would apply to you.
Thank you. And I think we have one or two more questions. This question, I think it may be more directed to the Department of State rather than the passport agency. I'll read it, but for the constituent who asked, feel free to call our office at 818-221-3718. Again, that's 818-221-3718 in case our representatives aren't able to answer it. And the question is, I will have a baby girl next month outside of the US. I am a US citizen. How many years do I have to prove presence in the US?
Yeah, so this question does require that we gather some more specific personal information because that will so the requirements will be different based on the information that you provide that's specific to your case. But in general, if you are a U.S. citizen and you have a child overseas, your child does benefit from deriving citizenship from you. So one of the requirements is a residency period. And that will be determined once you either apply for your passport or like Osvaldo was saying, if you wanted to reach out, you can get more information about that. Or you can also go to travel.state.gov to get, again, basic information on how your child would acquire citizenship. Since you mentioned that you'll be overseas anyways, we do recommend that you go into the local U.S. embassy or nearest U.S. embassy or consulate to register your child's birth. So that's the best way to, from the get-go, document their citizenship. And from there, you can start the paperwork not only for the vital record for your child, but also you have the option to apply for his or her passport too.
Thank you. And again, I'll read out our phone number so that the student can call our office if they want to get more information about that. It's 818-221-3718. Give us a call. And we'll do our last question here since we're coming towards 6 p.m. If I'm applying for my son's passport who is 5 years old, do I need his actual social security card or will the number alone suffice?
The number alone will suffice. We never ask to see on a regular basis the actual passport card, the social security card. So just make sure that the number you're providing is accurate.
Is that just for minors or is that for everyone?
Oh, that's for everyone who has been issued a social security number.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'll go ahead and I'll stop sharing. That's gonna conclude our presentation and our question and answer. Gentlemen, do you have any closing thoughts you'd like to share with our guests today?
I've been like a broken record all night repeating travel.state.gov. Hopefully that's burned into your memories already. And also our phone number, I can't repeat it enough. Our National Passport Information Center, 1-877-487-2778 to get an appointment to inquire about the status of your passport or to ask about a letter that you might have received. But yeah, those two things. And, just to say again, thank you to you and to Representative Cárdenas for having us again, give out this information. It's nice to think about vacation. So, plan ahead. This is the time to do it. And hopefully, everyone will get their passport in time for the much deserved vacation.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. I hope you found this presentation helpful and informative. Again, please do not hesitate to call our office for any more specific questions. or even general questions at 818-221-3718. Again, our phone number is 818-221-3718. Our constituent service specialists are here and ready to take your call. All right. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.